Hi guys, so today this video is going to be about don't be ratchet and don't be ghetto. I said what I said. Don't be ratchet and don't be ghetto. I'm so annoyed and tired by people acting like a degenerate. And yes, there's a time and place for everything, okay? Because there's certain music industry that thrive on acting like a fool. There's a time and place for everything, okay? Like you can dance and shake your butt if you want to, but there's a time and place for everything, especially when you know people have a certain perception about you. Trust and believe me, there's times when you don't want people to think a type of way about you, especially if it's negative, because if people have a negative perception about you, that can impact, how it goes with those people. So don't be ratchet and ghetto. I said what I said. Yes, you can still shake your butt, but there's a time and place for it. And yeah, there's some music industry that promotes people acting a type of way. So if that's what gives you coins, if that's what provides for you financially, then okay, then do what you have to do in the music industry, right? You know what I mean? If that benefits you to act ratchet and ghetto and a little bit like a degenerate and a fool, that's okay, if that's what gives you money at the end of the day, then I go for it. But to some girls, not every girl is part of that profession, and not every girl wants to act like it all the time. So, yeah, some girls might want to act like it for fun, and some girls might want to act like it because that's what pays their bills and whatever. So, to each their own. To each their own, okay? But this video is going to tell you don't be ratchet and don't be ghetto. And what I mean by don't be ratchet and don't be ghetto, what I mean by that is listen, a lot of people, depending on, I guess, your race or ethnicity, every race and ethnicity has a certain stereotype that might be negative, right? So, what I want to say is don't be ratchet and don't be ghetto. I know I said it so many times, but especially as a woman, you don't want to be ratchet and ghetto. And I'm going to give you a nice advice, especially if you're a black woman. I'm going to give you this special advice. You hear me? I'm going to give you this special advice. Don't be ratchet and ghetto. And what I mean by that is listen, if you are classy, if you're classy and feminine, because that can be the opposite of being ratchet and ghetto, is being classy and feminine, right? And having a nice behavior, knowing how to compose yourself, knowing how to behave. That's what I mean. Knowing how to behave, having a good composure and posture. So the opposite of ghetto and ratchet is being a feminine, classy woman. So, or a woman that knows how to behave. So, what I want to say by that is take that to your advantage. If you're not acting ratchet and ghetto, there's advantages to those things, especially when you go to certain environments where, you know, you know what I mean? So be classy and feminine. Yes, there's a time when you can be ratchet and ghetto, but there's certain places where it's like you have to be feminine to have the privileges that you want, the the luxury, the classiness, leveling up in certain expensive luxury events. You cannot act ghetto or ratchet. And when I say act ghetto and ratchet, notice how I said act. Because yeah, people can act ghetto and ratchet, and I'm not saying that a specific race or demographic can act like that. Everyone, anyone, everyone and anyone can act like that, even men. But what I'm saying is yeah, a white person can be ghetto and ratchet. An Asian person can be ghetto and ratchet. You know what I mean? So anyone, any race can be ghetto and ratchet. So in this video, when I say don't be ghetto and ratchet, is I mean it comes in behavior. Know how to act when you go in society. Know how to act. Know how to behave. Know how to be polite. Know how to say hello, thank you, have a nice, wonderful day. Know how to be polite. Know how to be kind. Know how to be sweet. And I'm not saying to act, to fake it, to be sweet, but I'm saying be a decent person, especially when you're dealing with people that you don't really know or people in general, especially when you want people to have a good impression on you. Acting ghetto and ratchet is not gonna give you a good impression to those people, okay? Maybe to your friends, maybe to the music hip hop industry to a certain extent. But on the general, on the daily basis, acting ratchet and ghetto is going to close doors for you. And as I said before, anyone can be ratchet and ghetto. It doesn't have to be a specific demographic or ethnicity or background. Asian person can be ghetto. A white person can be ratchet. That's why you see certain white singers or artists acting a fool and promoting some trash music and a trash lifestyle because they're ratchet and ghetto. I said what I said. So if you want to level up, you're going to have to know how to act, not really act, but how to behave in certain events. So if you go to a luxury event and you know a lot of people are like judgmental, right? This is when and some people might have certain stereotypes of what they think a person should act like, um, which is wrong. So if you go to a luxury event, know how to be classy, know how to have manners, know how to be have nice etiquette. When you eat, use a fork and a knife and a spoon. Don't use your hands. There's certain foods you can use your hands, but don't eat like a pig. Don't eat like you live in the wild, especially if you're in a civilized society. I have to be honest because some people don't know those things. Some people don't know those things because based on how they were raised or because they're lacking morals and values and whatever, or like, I don't know what to tell you, but knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So I'm gonna tell you in this video, to be not ratchet and ghetto is to have good behavior, is to know how to behave around people, um, around people. When you go certain places, do you know how to talk to people? Do you know how to behave? What do you do when you get mad? What do you do when you get upset? How do you talk to people when someone makes you upset? Those things are a big indicator on how people will perceive you. All right. So don't be ratchet, don't be ghetto. And when I say ratchet and ghetto, it can be like you're a very loud person. And I'm not saying loudness equals to ratchet and ghetto, but sometimes you can tell, okay, when a person's very loud, it depends on what they're talking about and how they behave in the moment. So, you know, if you're in a nice restaurant, why are you shaking your butt? Especially if it's a normal restaurant. Like, why are you getting up and shaking your butt? Like, or if you're in the public transit, in a bus, why are you so loud to the point that like people that have their earbuds listening to music can hear you speak so loud and scream for no reason? Why are you being a nuisance? Like, if you're in a bus and there's seats, I'm not saying how you should be exactly in those scenarios, but I'm just giving you like good options. If you're in a public transit and there's other people around you, some people come from a hard day of work, some people they might have a migraine, so they don't want to hear a lot of noise, but they know people are going to talk because it's a public transit, so there's going to be people talking, right? So take that into consideration, that you're not the only person in the bus, and take into consideration that some people just want to sit down and go home and go to work because they have to go to work. All right, you know what I mean? So you can talk to your friends, you can have a good time, but like, don't hit people with your backpack. If you have a heavy backpack, keep it to yourself. Avoid hitting people with your backpack, and if you ever hit someone with your backpack, especially if it's heavy, say so, like apologize, like, or just like, don't do it on purpose. Apologize, or just like, try to keep it to yourself. And sit in a chair, okay? Like, I'm not saying you have to sit in a chair, but like, sit in a chair with your friends and all your friends can talk to each other, so you don't have to yell across a distance because your friend decided to be sitting far away from you for some reason, and then you have to yell, and then it annoys other people's ears that are like sitting around you. So that's how to not be ratchet and ghetto. Because there's times when I see a group of girls, they're so loud, and guys too, but they're so loud, and you're just like, where are your parents, bro? How was you raised? How were you raised? Where are your parents? Do you even know how to behave? Like, do you know how to behave? Like, what's the difference between you and someone acting like, you know what I mean? So if you don't want to be seen as a wild, I don't know if I should say it, but Know how to behave. Sit down in a chair, talk to your friends. You can talk loud, but not too loud where it annoys someone's ears or eardrums because, you know, know how to talk to people with decency. Ratchet girls, ratchet people in general, especially women. And yes, there can be ratchet teenagers as well, ratchet children. Anyone can act ratchet and ghetto, but ratchet girls, because most girls do the most when they're ghetto and ratchet. Okay. And when I say ghetto and ratchet, I'm not saying of where you come from. Yeah, people can be raised in the ghetto, but they're not ghetto. There's a difference, right? There's people that are raised in, like, those buildings, those apartments that have a lot of people acting like a fool. Not everyone acts like a fool, but a lot of people act like a fool in certain locations and whatever. But some people live in the ghetto, but they're not acting ghetto. So, some people will use it as an excuse to why they're acting like a degenerate when they go out in certain places, because they'll be like, "Oh, that's how I was raised." But just because you're raised like that, not everyone's going to be raised the same way as you was raised, because not everyone lives in your household. You know what I mean? Not everyone has the same upbringing. You know what I mean? So, how to not act ratchet and ghetto? Know how to speak, know how to talk, and not sound annoying. So when you go to a public place, you can talk to your friends or other people around you, but don't be so loud don't be so loud where it sounds like you're screaming, and yelling, because that gets so annoying, especially if someone has a migraine. Like, why are you yelling? Why are you screaming? Like, you're in the same location as the person you want to talk to. So why are you yelling? Why are you screaming? Because when you yell and scream, it make it sound like there's something happening that's really bad, and then there's not. And then it's like, okay, so why are you yelling your lungs out? Like, you're acting like a fool. Like, you know what I mean? So it gets annoying. And then there's, some people, they'll go in an event and they're all up in a group. This is nice because I guess they know each other, but like, please make way for people that want to walk past you. Like, that's how you know some people are ghetto and ratchet. And when I say ghetto and ratchet, I'm not talking about, oh, they live in the ghetto, they live in the ghetto, therefore they're ratchet. No, just because you live in a ghetto doesn't mean you're ratchet. But there's people that live in a ghetto and they're ratchet because the way they act, the way they behave around other people, the way they talk, the way they speak. They are lacking education. They're lacking morals. They sound like they come from the streets. Like, you live in a society with civilized people. Not everyone's civilized, but you live with certain people that are civilized, and you sound like you come from the streets. When I say people are lacking education, I don't mean like, oh, they didn't go to college or university, therefore they're lacking education. I mean, the way they sound, the way they talk, it's like, do you know how to speak? Like, the way you speak will have people think like there's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you, and not in a good way. Like, there's something wrong with you, like, in a sense, like, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to be around you because you sound like a bad influence. You sound like a bad influence. So, and yeah, and girls are ratchet and ghetto. Some girls are ratchet and ghetto, and they know how to dress, so they look nice, they look pretty. But then you're like, oh wait, this girl, something's wrong with her because the way she speaks, the way she sounds, and she gives dirty looks. So that's how you know when a girl's ratchet and ghetto, when she gives you dirty looks for no reason and you don't know her. Like, why are you giving dirty looks? Like, you know what I mean? Because every time somebody looks at her, she's going to think that person wants to have some problems with her. But not everyone that looks at you wants some problems. They just look because you're acting like a fool and a degenerate, and you're looking fitting a stereotype. You know what I mean? And that could have been avoided if you acted well, if you know how to behave in a public event where you're not the only one around the event. You know what I mean? So, how to not act ratchet and ghetto, know how to speak, know how to articulate. When you speak, avoid using a lot of foul language every time you're speaking, like saying the F word, the B word, the F word, this F, this F, that. Like, do you know how to speak without using bad words, foul language? Like, that's weird. And then you wonder why you don't get invited in luxury events, because like, you're speaking in a such trashy way that's not elegant. It's not fancy, it's not sophisticated, it's not elegant. So why would they invite you to an elegant, sophisticated place? You know what I mean? And those be the same people that be begging to be invited in luxury places, but nobody wants to invite them there because they know they're gonna act like a fool. You know what I mean? So I might do a part 2, but don't act ratchet, don't act ghetto. You can act ratchet and ghetto if that's who you are. Okay, if you like being ratchet and ghetto, go for it. If that's who you are as a person, then okay, go for it. But like I'm telling you, not every place is gonna endorse that. Not every place is gonna promote that. Not every place is gonna welcome that with open arms. Because like you sound like you lack education. You sound like you're for the streets. And there's a bad impression with people that come from the streets. Okay, lack education. They don't have morals. They don't have values. They don't know how to think. They're a groupie. They think whatever their group thinks, they think. They don't have a mind of their self. They don't have a mind of their own. Whatever their friends say, they agree with it. They don't think. They don't think with their heads, with their brains. They don't. They don't. They just get easily influenced. And when they get easily influenced, it's mostly by the negative influence. So that's why people don't like certain type of behaviors. So don't be ratchet, don't be ghetto. And if you're gonna be ratchet and ghetto, make sure that it benefits you. Like example in the music industry, in hip hop, that might benefit you to a certain extent. But then people might get annoyed or bored because then they'll be like, you don't have no talent. The only thing you have is acting like a fool. You know what I mean? Or if that's who you are as a person, okay, then embrace that. I don't know. But don't be like so surprised when you don't get invited to certain luxury events that you want to go to. Yeah. So, ghetto and ratchetness be girls that give dirty looks for no reason. Girls that be like so loud for no reason. Girls that be laughing so loud, really loud, like so loud, and they keep laughing and laughing and laughing, and it's like, okay, it's not even funny. Yeah. You know, girls that be blocking the way when you're trying to go somewhere. Like you know how sometimes when you go certain places, there's an entrance and there's an exit, and those people, like people in general, should make way for people that want to walk in and walk out, so they're not like so they have their own way if they want to leave, if they want to stay. But people who are ratchet and ghetto, they take the whole entire place for themselves and don't consider other people. They just so selfish, so mean, so rude, so trash, so selfish and rude. Like they take the whole entire area for themselves, and then you have to tell them excuse me, and then when you tell them excuse me, they get so mad. It's like, why are you mad that I'm saying excuse me? Like you're blocking the whole way. I could have easily walked around you and go where I go. But because you're taking the whole area for yourself with your friends, it's like I literally have to tell you to move out of the way in a respectful way. But then you're being disrespectful because you're lacking education and you don't know how to be a decent person. You're acting like an animal. Ratchet people act like an animal. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them do. Okay? Because at this point, I'd rather have an animal, make way than you as a person. Because like an animal, like some animals be wild, but they make way sometimes. At least they stay in their own little space. Some of them do, but ratchet people, they don't. They don't have no morals. They have no values, and they have no consciousness. Like everything they do is for the moment. That's how you know when someone's ratchet and ghetto. Just because you come from the hood, the ghetto, doesn't mean that you're, you know what I mean, ratchet and ghetto. It comes in the way of behavior, the way you act, the way you talk to other people, the way you speak. Do you know how to articulate? What's your mindset? Is it hood? Is it hood activities? Like, what is that? Like, I know what it is, but like, come on now. Do you make people uncomfortable based on your mindset, based on how you talk when you're out with your friends? Like, you take the whole entire space, and then everyone that has to go where they're going, they have to talk to you. They have to be like, hey, excuse me. And then you get mad and you get attitude because someone's like, excuse me. You're taking a whole space. What do you expect them to say? Like, they have to go where they have to go, and you're taking the whole space. So don't do that. Like, be in your own space, but make space for people that want to leave or go out where they want to go. Like, because you're not the only person. You know what I mean? You got to be considerate about other people, especially in a public place that you don't that you don't own. You know what I mean? That you don't own. It's a public place, not a private place, a public place. So, this is part one. Don't be ghetto, don't be ratchet, and avoid fitting a stereotype. Because some people place stereotypes on certain type of people and demographic, and that's tragic. That's sad. But like, there's nothing worse when people think that you act like a stereotype, and then You when yeah. I just no. If you want to be royal, if you want to sound classy and feminine, you're going to know how to talk to people. Be articulate. You don't have to sound like you are a professor or a teacher in a big education facility, but like know how to speak in a way where it's like people can understand you, or they'll try to understand you because you sound nice, you sound very sweet to talk to. Like people are not uncomfortable walking past you, because ratchet people, sometimes when you see people that act ratchet, literally you walk the other side of the road. I'm just, I mean, yeah, no offense, like, yeah, when I see people very ratchet and ghetto, I'd be like, in my mind I'd be like, these people fit a stereotype, and I refuse to act like a stereotype. Like there's things that I want, there's things that I'm passionate about, and so many doors will be closed if they don't, like, there's certain places that don't promote and welcome hood activities and hood behavior. So like if you're acting ratchet and ghetto, people will perceive you in a negative way and they won't give you what you want. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, be classy, be feminine, know how to speak to people. Don't get easily mad, and everyone can get upset and mad, but like don't go out of your way to make somebody feel bad. Be smart, know your environment. If you're in a restaurant, sit down, get your food and eat. Or talk to people. Like if you want to talk to people, say, hey, I want to bring the food, I want to have it as a takeout. Take your food, whatever, do what you have to do, sit down, eat, whatever, but don't go out of your way to give other people problems. Don't talk trash about other people for no reason. Like there's people that are ratchet and ghetto, they'll gossip about someone so loud, and they'll gossip about someone in a language where it's like most people understand that language, like English. Not everyone understands English, but most people know and understand English. Most people speak English. So like you talk trash about a person for no reason, and then you speak in a language that they might understand. That's ghetto, that's ratchet. Like, you know what I mean? So ratchet girls, ratchet people in general, they'll be like, they'll be so upset if you slay, if you look good, if you have something they don't have. They'll give you the dirty looks, they'll roll their eyes, all of that. Nothing surprising, nothing surprising. And then they wonder why they don't get certain opportunities. And then they wonder why people feel uncomfortable being around them. And then they wonder why they have a whole list of, like, when I say a whole list, like, then they wonder why people be like, I'm not surprised that you're acting this way. You know what I mean? Um, like, please. When I say ratchet people have a whole list, what I mean by that is like people are not surprised by their behavior, but they're like, of course she's gonna talk like that. Of course she's gonna act like that. Of course she's gonna treat this person like this. She's ratchet. She's ghetto. They already know. They already know that you'll act a type of way, and because that's what you do. So don't act ratchet. Don't act ghetto. If you're gonna act ratchet and ghetto, make sure that's what you like to do, or it benefits you. It gives you some finances at the end of the day. Like if you're part of an industry where you kind of have to act like that, or they promote that, then go for it. But like certain events, certain places, they don't like that. They don't like that. Even the average person don't like that. Nah, nah. Sometimes you can tell someone is ratchet and ghetto by their mindset. By their mindset. You know what I mean? This is why, like, you see people give you dirty looks for no reason, and they start talking trash, or they start whispering when they see someone that looks good, and start gossiping right away. It's like, you don't even know the person. Why are you starting to talk trash? And they did nothing to you. They said nothing to you. That's ghetto. That's ratchet behavior. Like, ew. So I hope you enjoy this video. Be feminine, be classy, mind your own business. Of course, speak out when there's something wrong, but mind your own business. If you see someone with a Chanel, Louis, whatever, that's nice. That's cool. Mind your own business. And like people that are ratchet, they don't really know how to talk to people. Like the way to talk to people, it's so intrusive. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it's intrusive. Like it'd be like, I don't know. I don't even care. I don't even care. I like to be classy and feminine. Like, yeah, I can turn up sometimes, but you gotta know when to turn up. Not every situation is appropriate for you to act ratchet and ghetto. Ratchet and ghetto can be cute, but not all the time. So to a certain extent. So I hope you enjoy this video. Know how to talk to people, know how to communicate. If you have to explain something to a person, don't get easily mad. And if you get mad, it depends what you do and how and what you say when you get mad. So if you get mad, do you cuss people out? Do you start making a scene? Avoid doing that because that can be considered as ratchet to certain people, especially if they already have a bad stereotype perception that they think of you, and you're just like, when you act ratchet and ghetto, and especially if when there's people that are prejudgmental, they will see that and then they'll be like, I was right because look at the way he's acting. Hmm. Yeah, I know why there's a stereotype, or don't believe the stereotype. So don't fill in that stereotype that they have in their minds. But at the same time, you shouldn't care what people think. But sometimes you listen. Sometimes there's opportunities that you might want, and you have to know how to behave. You have to know how to behave, okay? Because yeah, I said what I said. I said what I said. Yeah, for real. So I hope you enjoy this video. Until next time, bye. Be classy, be feminine. There's a time and place for everything. If you want to be ratchet and ghetto, then do it. Ratchet and ghetto is not always bad, but to a certain extent it is. If you roll your eyes, if you're mean at someone for no reason, if you block the entrance, a public entrance where people can go in and go out, how are people supposed to walk in and walk out if you're blocking the whole entrance? You don't own that place. You're in that place, but you don't own that residence. You don't own that place. And if you do, there's a way to act. There's a way to behave, all right? Yeah, ratchet people are the type of people that will give middle finger. They'll cuss you out just because you said something they don't like. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to do a respectful argument, a debate. A respectful argument would be a debate where you say how you feel, you say your opinions, you say facts, and the other person say their opinion and facts, and then you exchange dialogue without like really making it be personal. Ratchet people will try to make it personal just because you said something they don't like. They'll take it as you're trying to offend them instead of actually listening to what you're saying, instead of actually listening to the context of the dialogue. They're not that smart, most of them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye. And drop down in the comments below ways to be feminine and classy, and if you ever had experience where someone was ratchet and ghetto, and how did you act around that situation, or give me an example or a situation where someone was ratchet and ghetto, because like, yeah, you can tell who's ratchet and ghetto. There's a time and place for everything. You can act ratchet and ghetto, but like sometimes if you know your ratchetness will make someone stay be bad for no reason, don't do that. Become a better person, and avoid fitting a stereotype, especially to people that might be like discriminatory, which is wrong, but what I'm saying is sometimes ratchet and ghetto-ness most of the time is seen as a negative thing, a negative trait behavior that people don't always like. So know how to behave, have good mannerisms, know how to talk to people, explain how you feel without being personal in a sense where it's like you're being offensive to them and start cussing at them and saying the F word to them. You know, there's a time and place for that. But like, just because somebody says something you don't like, it doesn't mean you have to insult them, insult their looks, insult how they look. Like, just because somebody says something you don't like, it depends what a person says, of course, but just because somebody says something you don't agree with, it doesn't mean you have to talk bad about their looks and how they look and say, hey, you look like this, you look like that, you're blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Know how to have a debate, know how to have a dialogue between a person or a lot of people. You know what a debate is? It's when you have an argument or discussion with a person and you say how you feel, you say your opinion, or you say facts, and that person exchange how they feel and what they think and their mindset or their opinion and facts, and then you come to a resolution. Or a debate can be like, a debate, depending on what you're talking about, a debate can be like you're trying to prove your point to a person and trying to be the one that's actually right by showing more things that are factual and right and real, and then you win the argument and whatever. That's what a debate is. Most people in politics, they use debates. And if you want to win a debate, depending on what you're talking about, if someone is not insulting your looks, if someone is not talking bad about your looks, just because they said something you don't like, it doesn't mean you have to talk bad about their looks. You know what I mean? But that might be a different conversation for another day. But at this point of this video is avoid being ratchet, avoid being ghetto, because that will close so many doors for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, certain places don't like ratchetness and ghetto-ness. And ratchet and ghetto-ness can be the way you behave, the way you talk to people, when you say bad words to them. And it's like, or when you roll your eyes at a person for no reason that you don't know, but you roll your eyes at them because you feel that they're getting the attention that you want that you're not getting. So like, oh, this girl, she's pretty, she's getting attention, let me roll my eyes at her, let me like. Or ghetto man, ratchet man would be guys that low ride, that have baggy pants. Yeah, it is ghetto's ratchet. Like, you a man, like, why is you low riding for? Only a certain girls would like that. But like, why is you low riding for? Because that's giving a message that you're dirty, you're not clean, you have a bad lifestyle that is problematic. No, no. You think a classic girl would like that? Man low riding, showing his butt to other people when he's walking with his low pants instead of having the pants to his waist. Like, I'm telling you, ratchetness and ghetto-ness is a behavior at the same time. It's the way you act, the way you behave, the way you act as a person and treat other people around you. And ratchetness and ghetto-ness can be your activities and hobbies. So I said what I said, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye. I might do a part 2 of this. But it is the way you behave and the way you act around other people and your mindset and how you act when you're in public places. So, because the way you dress, the way you talk can send a message to other people on how you are as a person and how you treat other people. So I said what I said, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye. Till next time.